Well, hey there, folks. I know it's late, and I know it's not the greatest occasion. A lot of folks asked me to come on and go through what we're understanding about this significant injury to Damar Hamlin, Bills player that was hurt tonight on Monday Night Football. I know for a lot of Chiefs Kingdom, we were watching this. For those of you who are not Chiefs fans, whether it be Bills or anybody else, this is primarily a Chiefs channel where I cover the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of interest, obviously, in Kansas City about this ball game. Very strange occurrence tonight. This isn't my normal energy level. I'm gonna have to apologize for that. Been a pretty emotional night for me as well, as a coach and a dad. Definitely something that gets to you a little bit. But I've had a ton of questions. Hey Terry. Hey, Brandon. Twilight, nice to see you, Austin. I don't know if this is going to be our normal crew, if this is going to be a wider variety of folks. Some of the guys that you know from my channels, my crew, Dan and Seth and Chris, Gary, asked some of those guys to come on. It's pretty late for everyone, so I think it's just going to be me. We'll see if anybody else is able to attend. As I'm still getting questions from folks that I can't really respond to. This is a tough one. And Rich, you're absolutely welcome. I know this is a tough thing to watch for everybody who's a fan of the sport, especially anybody who knows Damar. I never actually interviewed him. I didn't make it to the Senior Bowl this year. So not one of the players that I've never had personal contact with. But I will tell you this. My background is I've been in situations like this. Just to get everybody an update, it is now just a couple minutes after midnight Eastern. Latest is that he is intubated. I do have a TV on over here, so from time to time I am going to look that direction just so you guys know. He is intubated and in critical conditions. That's the last update that we've gotten. It's been a good hour or at least 45 minutes since we got that. There was a rumor that we were going to get a press conference tonight. Evidently that has been postponed. Latest that we have right now is no presser tonight. We're going to find out something later in the day. The team is still in town. I believe that is their intention, at least, to travel home. I think that's probably a good thing for everyone involved. As we understand from reports, Stephon Diggs has made his way via Uber to the hospital. A guy that was like visibly emotional, team leader, clearly wanted to be there. And you guys, I'm just going to warn you, like, I'm generally a pretty emotional person to begin with. This is tough to watch. I didn't actually see it live because I had just gotten home. I was trying to make some dinner, and I was kind of in the other room, and I heard it. And that's the interesting twist for me. I have since gone back and seen it, and it is definitely interesting. I have been involved in something similar to this, a baseball game. When I was a younger coach, it has seen this happen. It is something that's unfortunately does happen a little bit more often than you would guess. So I am not a physician. I'm not going to give you medical opinions. I will tell you what I know. I have been trained in trauma in a long, long time ago. I have gone through some basic paramedic training, that kind of thing. My degrees are in biology and physical therapy and sports physiology. So I have a foundational knowledge of a lot of this, but not specific. I'm not a physician, and I don't want anyone to come across with that feeling. Social media is really bad about piecing things together that don't actually exist, so I wanted to say that out loud. I am doing this on the RGR channel, not on Locked On Chiefs. We may have coverage on there as well, but I want to represent me and my opinions, not necessarily on the Locked On channel, because I do have some expertise outside of the football world. So that's kind of where it is. Not sure what that is. I'm going to be blocking some folks. I do believe FLTB's in the house. So Frankie, if you do see stuff that's inappropriate, please just boot them and ban them. Not a big deal. So this is the situation. If you didn't see it live, This was a collision, a pretty routine play by my estimation, that had some contact to his chest plate. I think the bigger thing was that after the fact, I think he fell on a helmet as well, again in the chest region. There is a condition that can trigger a reaction like what we saw. It's called Commotio Cordis. It is a concussive event that disrupts the rhythm of the heart. You see this in Little League Baseball a lot, something that very similar to what I experienced years ago. And it can happen other ways. This happens a lot in car wrecks, to tell you the truth. It's impact trauma that can disrupt the way that your heart functions. I think some of the TV was saying about how it's, the exact millisecond it's hard to do. It's actually a little bit easier than that sounds. You can see it happen around the country on a pretty timely process around. It is physical contact that can make that rhythm go off, because your heart is really functioning back and forth. It's four chambers that function together as a unit. And if you disrupt that rhythm, blood doesn't flow. Oxygen doesn't get to your brain. That doesn't happen. You lose consciousness. You stop. Sometimes you lose the ability to breathe on your own. It seems that that's what is happening now. As we know, the medical condition, this was a hit. He stood up. By my count, he took 2 steps and then collapsed. And that is also not abnormal from what I've been educated about in a situation like this, because you do have blood circulating that has oxygen in it. So you have a few seconds that you're still oxygenating actively because of what was there, even though it stopped. Then he collapsed, got the medical assistance. Obviously, there's a ton of medical professionals at a football game. I know you guys don't see them all the time, but it's not just the athletic trainers. There's team physicians that are there for sports injuries. There's emergency physicians that are on the premises as well. There's EMTs. There's always ambulance crews. I know some stadiums keep 2 ambulance crews on standby all the time. There is always a trauma center on notice, because this is a collision sport. Things like this do happen. Generally, never to this extent, but it is an injury-laden impact sport. And so you have to take that precaution. So I do see some questions, you guys. I will get to you if I can. I'm just going to kind of go through what I know at this point, and we'll go from there, because especially tonight, it's not this fan base's team. This is a bigger picture. Background's blue tonight for all you Bills fans. If you are Bills fans in here, welcome to the group. Chiefs fans are pretty understanding folks, so let it roll with them. I appreciate that, Bern. Yeah. I think what I want to address too is that this is not a condition that is set in stone. Nate Carnahan is on my Twitter feed, one of my longtime followers, has experience. Tyke Harvey has experience. He's an EMT first responder. Anybody who's been in that part of the medical field, especially traumatic care, that things can turn around. The ventilator right now that he is on is a tube, an intubation that is helping him breathe. It is a compression system that breathes basically for him. And so what that does is 2 things. Yes, it is a step that a lot of folks are concerned about, and they should be, but it does relieve some stress off the body and allows the body to heal without having to manage that part of it. So it does reduce the whole body's stress. It can concentrate on other things. Now, that said, the fact that you had to get there, it follows hand in hand in what we saw happening on the field. CPR is a maneuver, a process that you go through when you are trying to prolong life. It is a life-saving measure. That means that somebody's life was in jeopardy. That's what happened to Damar Hamlin tonight. This continued intubation is a continued condition of that danger. Doesn't mean he can't come out of it. People, again, automobile accidents, impact accidents often do have loss of consciousness, do have to be intubated, do need that help to recover and heal. They do often come out of it. There are people who will go comatose. There are medically induced comas. We see rumors about that tonight. I don't know any of that for a fact. Won't know until we get an actual update from the news outlets or the hospital itself. So what it can tell you is that I take it as a positive sign that he has spontaneously got his heartbeat. They were able to correct that rhythm. That's what AED does. That's basically a v-fib to get you back in rhythm. It's kind of like smoothing out an engine, right? If it's fluttering and it's not moving very well, you give it a hit and it can sync up again. And so that's a good sign. He's a strong young adult. He's 24 years old. The body wants to go on. The body wants to keep fighting. I think they're just giving him supportive care. And I hope that he'll be able to pull out of that. He may be out for a few days. He may be out longer than that. He may not be out for very long at all. It could be a week right now for all I know, because we're not getting real-time updates. So I know that's frustrating. And for those of you that are concerned, it's concerning even more, right? But that is also part of protecting the patient and letting him heal and not putting any kind of undue excitement around that. So everybody keep your prayers up. I think the family is really appreciating that, as they should. Hope is not lost. So we're just kind of holding on for the details. DJ, I appreciate you. An absolute tragedy. Yes. Thanks for the support, buddy. I sincerely hope he pulls out best care given the circumstances. Too much manufactured emotion and anti-vax input everywhere I've landed on tonight. Folks do kind of ramp things up. I've had to ban people from Twitter and that kind of thing. There have been on-field injuries similar to before. I have never seen anyone resuscitated on the field. So that is a step forward. Javonte, thanks for saying that. I'm trying to, especially as a dad, man, it's tough. I have kids in competition. In fact, I have kids competing this week. So there's always something going on. And this kind of thing kind of brings it back to reality for a bit. Soccer players, there's been baseball players. Thank you for being here. It does certainly help. If there are anything that I can clear up about some of the misnomers that are out there, I will do that. My big message to you guys is this isn't necessarily a done deal. I do think that he can recover just fine. It is sometimes the trauma will subside and he can recover from that. It happens again in everyday life quite often in my experience. So there's plenty of precedent for recovery here. I'm not in any down in the doldrums. I think he'll be able to recover. Looks like some of you guys are letting me know that they're doing a conference call. As I understand, thank you, Danny. Appreciate that. It looks like the owners are there as well. They're going to make a decision about what they're doing. That you're welcome, Judy. I'm trying to help. I know a lot of this is crazy. There's some crazy comments as well. So again, Frankie, thanks for being here, dude. If you can help me with some of the more outlandish stuff, we'll go from there. So bigger thing is that, this is a sport that we all follow. We all have a passion for it, varying levels. Obviously for the players, it's emotional. I think what you have, thank you, Frankie. I just saw that. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Brookie. Trolls not welcome. Bills fans, Chiefs fans, I hope you hear. Bengals fans too. I thought what you saw on the field was very indicative of the passion that players have at all different levels, as well as the coaches. I think there was some incredulity there about going on and playing this ball game. I'm not here to make excuses for the NFL, but I will say one thing, that the NFL, I don't think, was probably in the loop right then when paramedics are working on him to understand whether it was that serious or not. I know from my point of view, when I came out of the kitchen and got to actually put eyes on it, the players had circled him. I couldn't really see a whole lot of what was going on. So some of that may have been in there. Certainly it took a while. This game should have been canceled. It is canceled. That was the right thing to do. There's no way around that. you have to have respect for the life that is now in danger. That's the way that it goes. I don't think the players and coaches, once they understood and once they watched that, it is quite traumatic for people who aren't used to it, who've never been in the room when that happens, to watch resuscitation efforts. It's not pretty. It's not always like it's on TV. There is more effort, more violence to resuscitation when you do have to apply electrical stimulation, etc. It is difficult to watch for people who are not used to it, who aren't trained in it, especially. So you could see the players reacting to that. And I think that kind of gives you an idea of just these guys that are so passionate about what they're doing, how they're reacting goes a long way in giving you an idea of just how serious that was. Again, this is a pretty rare occurrence. I've never seen something this life-threatening happen on a field. We've seen, clearly, we've seen broken bones. We've seen the Alex Smith thing. We've seen Joe Theismann. We've seen very, very significant injuries, but ones that aren't necessarily life-threatening. Alex was a complication with his infection that then took over and became life-threatening. So that certainly is within the realm. I'm not trying to discount Alex in any way and what he went through. I'm just saying it's not quite as emergent as this was. I don't have statistics in front of me from either the Sports Council or anybody that tracks how often this happens. But I do have some information from the American Heart Association just about what this phenomenon actually does. And they do say, and I am quoting here, I have it on a laptop, unfortunately, not on the screen that I'm showing. So I'll read this and I'll try to post it here if I can scroll later. But it is a blunt impact to the chest that causes this. And in the end, it is very common in sports. They say that in the last 2 or 3 decades, they're primarily occurring in sports because of close contact, because of blunt force there, because it's not usually with anything like a hard object like you'd get in a car crash or a train derailment or something like that. So that's what's happening. Scoop, I do not know. The NFL is having a conference call. It is not public, so we'll know what happens here. Kadarius Burner, yes. I mean, the teams decided, hey, we're not going to play. The NFL then officially canceled it. I'm not trying to say that the NFL made that decision. And good for the players. I think it was pretty evident on their faces where that was and what had to be done. There's no way that you can see that serious of an injury, life-threatening injury to one of your teammates, and continue to just go on. There's no way around that. Okay, I got to boot this guy too. Sorry, Frankie, if I'm beating you to it. I'm just kind of seeing these as they go, folks. I'm really not stacking questions tonight like we usually do here. I'm just kind of trying to live in real time. So when I see something crazy, I'm just going to block it. No, T. Higgins has no responsibility in this whatsoever. There's nothing either amoral or honestly even specifically an effort to cause an injury like this. I don't think he could if he tried. This is a specific situation about the impact, where it landed, the timing of that heartbeat, all those things. It is not player necessity or player intent. I honestly feel after watching it that I think maybe the complication might have been the secondary impact, because the play hits an impact, and as they go to the ground, I think from the replay that I saw, I think Hamlin actually falls on a helmet as well, right on the chest. So it could have been a secondary impact there as well. I'm not a forensic scientist. That's just my gut feeling and my observation, but I think there could be more to that. But for people in the chat and elsewhere on Twitter, you cannot lay this at T. Higgins' feet. From what I understand, he's really distraught about it and left the stadium feeling that way, and I can't blame him. To be involved in something like that, it's got to be really traumatic for him as well. Obviously, it's not life-threatening, but it's got to be traumatic. So let's give that its due as well. Tom, thanks for the support, bud. I will tell you this. I honestly don't know. I'm not thinking down that path yet as to how they get this done. There are commentators that are going to do that. I have trouble moving on to that already. So I'm just going to say, I honestly don't know what they're going to do. There are a couple of scenarios that they could follow out. I don't know if just a delay is enough or what happens. Unfortunately, yes, there is an impetus. There's a postseason coming and that kind of thing. So they do have to figure something out. I think what we have to just kind of hang in for is what's the best thing. Delaying a Super Bowl a week because you had to delay this the week, that is a monumental task, I will just say. So I don't know if I can see them doing that, but we'll see what happens. I think that's the least of our worries right now. I think not only is this a serious situation for this player and for this team, well, honestly, for both these teams, you could see how Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor were so concerned and came over to the other locker room. Like, this affects everybody that was out there tonight. And I think everyone around the league, because it's Monday Night Football, because it's the game of the week, nearly every player in the league was watching this. Every single one had some kind of information, is my guess. There might be a few guys that had a family thing or whatever, but the vast majority of the NFL league, the internal players and coaches, were watching this happen live. That has a very impactful grip on your mortality when you see that happen to someone that could be you. You know what I mean? So I don't think this is going to be in a big rush to move on. I think they will have to address it, but I don't know how quickly that's going to happen. Okay. No, nothing about this is funny. So let's get rid of this guy too. Man, it's really fun here to get rid of people that just have no humanity about them. This is the reason that I took so long to do this tonight, because I thought we'd let some of the haters get away and the crazies go away. Evidently not, and we're just going to be inundated. So, yeah, that's exactly what I said. Wait, can that actually be real? Hey, okay. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through here and make sure there's nothing else that's really, really there. Frankie, I appreciate you more than you know. Man, yeah, it's going to get hard. We're going to hang with this as long as we can. I don't know if I can put up with this kind of crap forever. So, we'll do the best we can. And when it just gets to that point where we just got to throw everybody out, we're going to throw everybody out. Let me block one more person here. Peapods, I understand that. I have been in that situation tonight, a couple of times. Ryan, I don't have any update now. NFL's making a statement. Looks like it's the same statement. It doesn't look like there's anything new there. So, Scooney, you're welcome. I'm glad that it helps some folks. Joey, yes. There are professionals on every football field for exactly that reason. It can always happen. Something like this can always happen. It's always been a theoretical possibility. We just haven't seen it happen. So it's good that they're there. It proves that all this preparation has come in handy for this particular situation. I see a lot of people asking about CPR and that kind of thing. CPR is a life-sustaining thing. It can go on as long as it goes on. As long as you are oxygenating the brain, you're doing its job. That's what it needs. As long as you can continue to oxygenate the brain, that person has a chance. That's what it's for. It's not necessarily cardiac arrest, because cardiac arrest is usually a non-traumatic, a non-induced situation. This is the result of a trauma, of an impact. So that's what that's the difference here. So let's see, Tom. Last I saw, he had a tube and vitals were normal. Yes, and that was his marketer. A lot of players these days have brand managers that help them not only further their brand, further their foundations, whatever reach out they're doing. That was an update that I saw a little bit. In fact, I do believe I retweeted that so everybody could see it, that that was the same thing. That sounds like about the same time as the original update that he was being intubated. Intubation is a tube. Ventilation is helped passage of air for breathing. They are related, but they're different things. And so I think that's where some of that update overlaps, but it doesn't necessarily sound the same. So that's why I wanted to point that out too. Again, this is not T. Higgins' responsibility. This is not something he could have done had he tried to. I will tell you that. Thank you. I appreciate that, Aaron. I will try to stay with it. Elite, that is a good question. Man, okay, this is going to get tough. It could have, it could not have. It probably just went into what is called v-fib, which is a fluttering, where it's an incomplete contraction of the heart. So it's trying to beat, but it's not in rhythm with itself, because there are 4 chambers in a heart and they need to be in rhythm in order to pump blood to your lungs, back from your lungs, and out to your body, right? It has trouble, and when it's off rhythm, it doesn't quite get it, and it doesn't circulate your blood. And if it doesn't circulate your blood, it doesn't oxygenate your brain. So that's part of it. It doesn't necessarily that it stop completely. Usually there's so much electrical activity that I don't think that that's going to be part of it anyway. But what it does do is it needs to be restarted and resynced, and that's what the v-fib does. They refer to it as AED now. It is basically just an electrical stimulus to reconfigure that rhythm and get it going again. They did that. It came back. For those of you that think you know stuff about soccer players and it being vaccine related, what the vaccine is purportedly related to, and there are some findings that say that is part of it. It's not the vaccine itself. It's usually some people have a reaction to COVID itself that atrophies part of the heart, and you can get a heart condition from it. I know someone who actually developed that. That only comes into soccer because soccer is a complete auto exhaustion type sport. You are always in an aerobic state. Football is an anaerobic sport. You can see from this, the play was over. He still has enough circulating oxygen in his bloodstream to stand up and take a couple of steps. That's not what happens in an aerobic sport, especially if you can't oxygenate there. So, oh Lord. Okay. This is getting, I apologize, folks. I'm not doing a very good job staying up on the crazies. So I am trying. I'm going to skip forward here, try to take care of my supporters. Appreciate that. Hey, thank you for being here, Rich. And I appreciate that. I hope some of this helps. That's my goal. I was hoping that while we were on, we would get an update. So we could all maybe go to bed with something good. That's my hope. Just because the hospital isn't going to do a press conference doesn't mean we won't get an update at some point tonight. So we will try to keep that going. Biz, and thank you, Rich. I very much appreciate that. Best place for updates that I have right now is coming from either the news outlets, the actual news networks, or ESPN. I think ESPN is doing a good job. But I do think that the actual news outlets are a little bit better manned in terms of people on the ground, whether it's CNN and one of the other, ones that take sides. I don't generally watch a ton of network news, but I think they're used to breaking news like this, so they're getting updates a little bit faster. I would watch that, or I'd just watch ESPN. That's where I'm at. I have bopped around to CBS as well. I think Fox Sports 1 had something on for a time, but I didn't see that when I came back on. Maurice, thank you. I appreciate that. You're a medic and a firefighter, and hey, prayers work. I'm not one that prays myself, but people believe it, and if you believe it, then do it. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to make predictions on his recovery or lack thereof. I will tell you, every situation is serious. It can go one of two ways. You can survive, come out. There are a million outcomes in between that and not surviving. So there's plenty of variation here. I'm not going to make a guess because I don't have any medical information to even base that Let's see here. I heard no more updates for night per the hospital. That's the last that I heard too. I'm hoping, while the hospital may not give us an update, someone from the family or some of his reps might do that as well. I believe his agent has made a statement. It was pretty much the same statement that his brand manager made as well. So I'm hoping maybe we get a little bit more something, maybe from the family or someone close to them. From what I understand, the Bills were planning to go back to Buffalo. I think that's good. I think that's good for the mentality of the players. I think that in the end, it's just about how can you support a group of people that are kind of in a state of shock. There's a clinical diagnosis of shock. I'm not going to get into that because I honestly don't know how to make that. But I think generally people are in there in at least a state of bewilderment, if not true shock, because that is a clinical diagnosis. So, Joteman, I don't know that they canceled it. I think they thought about doing it and it just wasn't going to happen. I don't know if it was canceled it for any reason. I appreciate you, Rasta. Thanks for being here. Let's see. Can they honestly finish the game? Thanks for coming on. Michael, I honestly don't know. There's a disservice to just calling it a tie. I will tell you that, saying it's an incomplete game. I think the teams at this point have earned the right to finish it. I can't claim to know what Damar would think, but that would make sense to me, for most of the players having that kind of feeling. I just don't know the logistics, and quite frankly, I don't have time or enough inclination to figure out all the logistics of this. The fact that they're leaving town means that they're not going to bump it back to tomorrow and try to go, and I think that's probably smart. I don't think that would be appropriate to try to push these guys to play a day removed. Even this isn't something you get over in a day. You know what I mean? Let's see. I'm just running through here. Wes, I did see it. I don't watch him anyway. I suggest, unless you absolutely agree with him, never watch that guy again. I think he ought to be canned. I think it's just wrong message, wrong time when somebody's in that kind of state fighting for their life. Let's see. Read. For an injury, no, but this isn't injury. This is well beyond an injury. This is a matter of life and death at that point. And quite frankly, at the time, it was kind of an emergency matter of life and death. So it is definitely within the realm here. There was Mike Utley back in the day. There have been other things that have pushed for that, but it is definitely a rare occurrence, Reed. It is not something that happens very often. Okay, thanks, John. I appreciate that, because I can half hear what's going on there. It's not very clear. So they may have a statement overnight. Now I'm out here in Mountain West and Mountain Time Zone, so I'm a little bit behind. I may be up a little bit later than folks certainly in the East Coast. So maybe we'll hear something and I'll be able to give you guys a little bit of insight as to what it means. Daniel, that is true. That's what a ventilator is. It is doing the breathing for him. It is moving the oxygen for him in and out of his lungs. The intubation tube goes into your lungs so you can pass that air. So his body is concentrating on beating his heart and trying to repair what has happened. The trauma to having your heart in that situation affects your whole body. So it is not just a heart muscle issue. There is more that goes to it. So it is a systemic kind of recovery that you're looking for. So there's a lot to that. Okay, blocking more nut jobs. This is what happened, Abe's mom. There was a tackle. He was impacted in the chest during the tackle, and then he fell to the ground, landed on top of a player's helmet on the chest. He stood up, took a couple steps, and then collapsed. The speculation from most medical professionals that I've seen and what would follow through from what I've been trained on is it looks like Trauma to the blunt force to the chest can disrupt the heartbeat. That's what it looks like, but that's pure speculation. And again, I am not a physician. Tom, after tonight, the main thing is the main thing. Exactly. Hope that I feel confident Damar Hamlin, as a 24-year-old man that's an elite athlete, I feel that he's got a very good chance for coming back. I don't know if he plays again, but I think he's going to be able to recover. I think I feel safe saying that as my opinion. It's not a medical opinion. I don't have that authority, but that's how I feel about it right now. Len Bias, I don't recall what happened with Len Bias, but that's a good point. There have been other instances with this or something related. He had to have some kind of rhythm to even use AED. The shock from would interrupt non-perfusing rhythm and allow heart's pacemaker to reset the rhythm. The fact that it's now beating on its own is a good sign. Exactly. Thank you, Angie. You actually said it more succinctly than I did, so I appreciate that. Yeah, it is like a reset button. It is an electrical process that moves all that through and keeps the timing of the heart. QRS waves are something that if you read EKG, you'll know that it is that electrical signal that they show it on movies all the time, and that QRS is the electrical path going through those four chambers of the heart. So, Eric, it's more like a fibrillation, a incomplete contraction. Tachycardia is where you have complete contractions, but they're going fast. That would not be the condition that I would expect from this. It could be the case. I just don't have the experience to say that that's what it probably was. Let's see here. Okay, not sure what all that is. I'm getting confused. I believe Ryan Clark, and I thought he talked about it on the telecast. I'm not sure. I believe he had an impact, and it ended up being his spleen and gallbladder that were removed. It was here in Denver, if I remember correctly. That was a significant issue as well. But I think they removed him from the field, took him to the hospital. I don't think it was anything that happened on the field there, at least not for an extended time. Let's see. Just checking your comments, see what else we need to discuss. Hypertrophic heart disease. Yeah, they used to call that enlarged heart. I think that's the new term for it. That is something that does happen and seems to be a result of some people's reaction to the COVID virus. I am not 100% on that. I don't have the literature on that specifically. I used to follow the medical journals. I work in the medical world as my day job. I don't have that at the heart of mine. Let's see. Hey, Gooch is on tonight. Welcome back, Gooch. Good to see you, man. And you didn't have to super chat it, but cheers. I do have a doctor in my family, and she saw the play and was shook, but did say that the med team was getting him to perform CPR actually helped him get into the intubation, in her medical opinion. I like hearing that. That's kind of the way that I took it too. I don't get to have a medical opinion myself, but I'm glad you mentioned it. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's tough to see somebody have to have that kind of medical intervention, especially for players who aren't used to it. But it is life-saving, because anything beyond a couple of minutes, I mean, 120 seconds or less is what I was taught, although that's been some number of years now. Without perfusion is where you start to lose brain cells. And that's where it can really go south very, very fast. And Gucci got another one. 3 minutes or less actually may have saved his life. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why you have trained medical staff at the stadiums every time. So at the end of the day, this has always been a possibility. It hasn't happened to this point. I think that's lucky. And I think maybe this was something that's always been coming. Maybe it just took the right circumstances, a certain number of criteria to come together all at once. I honestly don't know. Let's see. Who else do I need to axe in here? I have no idea what you're talking about, Kelly. How would I get followers? No. I'm just doing this to talk to my people. I already have followers, thanks. So appreciate that, and appreciate you, Gooch. That said, I'm feeling optimistic tonight that he's going to be able to recover. I don't know when. Can't tell you why I feel like that, but I do. So I'm feeling positive about it. Hopefully we'll get an update tonight. If so, I'll probably have some comment tomorrow. We have normal content on the channel planned for tomorrow, so I will interrupt and add to it whenever we get something. Again, I know this is maybe Chiefs fans are like, this didn't happen to a Chief. Why are you talking about it? This happens to everybody. This could happen to anyone on a football field at any time. So that's why we're talking about it. And I appreciate those of you who wanted to come on and hear what I had to say. Hopefully it helped. Anonymous, looks like you said that they had an update. Maybe I missed that if it happened since I started tonight. Longmorn, my daughter's in the Uranus and saw the replay and said the same as Gooch. Time was close. They saved his life. Yeah, I mean, anytime you're not getting oxygen to the brain, seconds matter. It's very, very critical. I will look for updates. I will drop you some. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you can. That's probably where I'll put the basics up. But if we get a major update, I will definitely let you guys know here on the channel tomorrow and drop you something here as well as the normal content that Gary's going to be working on and Dan's going to be working on. So I know it's late, especially for you folks that are out east. So we'll just call it at that. Not much more that I can update you on for now. So keep your fingers crossed. Pray if you pray. Be happy that they had medical care available and they got to it. So I will keep my fingers crossed, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So with that, I will sign off. Thank you all for being here. Have a good day tomorrow, and we'll let you know what we find out. Good night.